Okay, I'm sitting here with Rodrigo Pacheco, a participant in the London 2012 Olympic Games, a sport management graduate and practitioner. Welcome, Rodrigo.
Thank you, Kenneth.
Rodrigo, you went to the London 2012 Olympics. How was it to experience the Olympics as an athlete?
Well, as you can imagine, it was an amazing feeling. All your life, you have been dreaming about reaching the biggest goal in any athlete, and that's the Olympic Games. So since I was a little kid, my dream was to be there to represent my country, to be among the best athletes around the world. And last summer I had the opportunity to do that. So for me it was like a dream came true. And it's amazing the way you imagined before, but it's nothing that you could compare it once you're there, because the life in the Olympic Village, going to participate in your own sports next to big athletes, or even looking at some other sports where you can see athletes just on TV sometimes, make the experience even greater. I was lucky to see or to watch a lot of athletes during the Olympics, and it's amazing because sometimes you are just walking in the Olympic Village or going for your lunch, for your dinner. You could see Michael Phelps also grabbing food next to you, and all the big stars, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, they're just walking there, and all of those athletes has the same goal as you when you go there. So it's like a small city that is together for 3 weeks, something like that, and pursuing the same goal, which is related to sports.
Thank you. What was the most memorable experience of the Olympics in London?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, because of course I had a few, especially to start the Olympics. It was very special for me to go out at the opening ceremony. Yeah, when Peru was called and we were going outside and we saw the stadium full of people, it was such an amazing feeling, because for me the opening ceremony and the time you play is the most personal experiences that I will remember the most. So being there in front of all that stadium, the Olympic Stadium, it was amazing. And of course afterwards, a nice moment was also when they called my name just before my match, and I went on court to play my singles in badminton. It was really nice. Also I had a nice the nice company of my family, that they flew all the way there, so that make even more special the occasion. And of course, a few other memorable moments were to watch athletes, like really big stars, winning their gold medals. Like I saw Michael Phelps winning in swimming, Usain Bolt and 100 meters final, and gymnastics, some finals, volleyball. So I tried to watch everything I could, and I was lucky to watch really good games. I mean, after all, the Olympics is where the best athletes are in the world, so there was no better place to live that experience.
You have worked with sport management and sport marketing. From that perspective, how is your impression of the commercialization of the Olympic Games?
Yeah, actually the commercialization of the Olympics has had a long development, because it was not until 1972 that the IOC didn't allow sponsors or company to invest or to bring money into the Olympics. Why? Because it could affect the decision making on giving the Olympics to one or another host city. So they didn't want to get involved in terms of being in a way pushed by any of these cities or sponsors if they were going to give money. So in that time they were running the Olympics with, if you compare it with a little budget that is compared to today. But after that they realized that the private sector, that the private support were really important, and that's why they created afterwards the top program, that is the Olympic program, where Olympic partners came in to contribute towards the delivering of the Olympics. So actually, right now, an Olympic partner have to pay $50 million for a four-term agreement with the Olympics, with the IOC. So in general terms, it has been a long, as I mentioned before, it has been a long development since back then in time, and today there is a paradox, like the less commercialized sports event in the world is the most commercialized. And why I say this is because if you go to any Olympic venue, there are no like big banners or no exposure from the sponsors. So it is not allowed according to the IOC rules. But actually, a lot of companies, they want to get involved with the Olympics. Why? Because they create brand awareness. They want to increase their sales through their Olympic agreement. They want to give restore their image if they have had a bad experience before. They want to have a good impact in the society where the Olympic Games are held. And of course, one very important is that if a sponsor goes to the Olympics, is because they want to outperform the competition. So that's one very important aspect, because if, for example, we take the example of Visa, that is a great example. They official purchases during the Olympics are only allowed to be done with Visa credit cards or debit cards, so that they are taking the competition away at all. So yeah, the commercialization has been a big issue as well, because it has come also some other aspects that have influence, like for example ambush marketing. There has been a problem since a long time already. Being Nike, one of the main companies or brands that have been associated with ambush marketing. So the IOC had to create strong walls against these problems that have happened. So that's why they created, or it is introduced, a Rule 40, where they are trying to protect the official partners from the IOC to try to avoid the ambush marketing. But actually, somehow they are always trying to find their way. It happened back then, and it happened also in London, for example.
Okay, often you hear that commercial interest in mega events in sports such as the Olympics is linked to emotional equity and how that relates to fans and consumers all over the world. How are your thoughts on that?
Exactly. Yeah, because if we see sponsorship is a three-way relationship with the right holders, the sponsor, and the consumer. Being the right holders, in this case the IOC, who are giving the Olympic Games, the sponsor, who can be any of the Olympic partners, and the consumer, that actually the companies or the sponsor want to make them fans instead of consumers. So it is important to make these three relationship as close as possible, because if the consumer or the fan is identified with the right holder, the bond between the sponsor and the consumer will be much stronger. So it is, as I mentioned before, it is a relationship that if everybody, let's say, is happy, the connection between them and the emotional level between them is going to be much higher. So it's very important for sponsors to try to find the exact or the perfect fit that will influence those consumers, those fans, and make them connect with those brands, with that image of the brand, in order for them to make a long-term relationship.
What commercial aspects of the Olympics made the biggest impact on you?
Good question, because actually the one that made the biggest impact, it was a great campaign made by Procter & Gamble, P&G, that they started even way before the Olympics started. It was called the Thank You Mom campaign. That they focus, let's say, on a special person in every athlete that went to the Olympics, or actually any athlete in the world. That is the mothers. So they created a beautiful piece, a beautiful video that you could find on internet, and it was running during the Olympics and before the Olympics, as mentioned. That you could see the development of all the athletes, or the athletes that were involved in the video, and the involvement of their mothers in that process. So you could see how much the mother was caring about those kids, and how they managed to go all the way until they were Olympic athletes afterwards. So I think that even Procter and Gamble, they didn't have a direct connection with sports, in terms of they were not manufacturers of sports equipment, or they didn't have, as I said, any direct involvement with sports. They found a great connection to make fans or consumers feel identified with the brand, and in that sense they found a perfect fit in targeting the mothers of those athletes. So I think that emotional equity was a perfect fit, where I'm sure they will have a great return of their investment through this campaign.
Thank you very much, Rodrigo, for coming and giving us some insight into your experiences from London 2012 Olympics.
Thank you for the opportunity.